Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's the day after. I'm already that tired. It's the day after Manchester City are beating Real Madrid 2-1 in the Champions League, 4-2 in aggregate, and we're through, and it feels absolutely wonderful. So you better believe I'm milking every single bit of content I can out of this game. I've got two absolutely wonderful guests with me from very different corners of the world, which is absolutely fantastic. I've got Adam from Stat City. Adam, how are you doing? Repping the new shirt there.
Hi, all right?
Yeah, first time on the channel, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Great channel, so happy to contribute.
How are you feeling after yesterday's game?
Oh, cloud nine still. I think we've arrived on that stage finally.
Yeah, we really have. And also, someone who knows a thing or two about the big stage. That's quite a good link there, actually. I'm quite happy about that. We've got Bryan Bulaga over in California, right, Bryan? Is that right?
Yep, I'm out in Irvine right now.
Yeah, over in sunny California. And you may know him best I must admit, I am not a big NFL person. I don't know much about him, but Bryan is the real deal. He's literally won a Super Bowl and he plays for Los Angeles Chargers. And obviously, it spent a lot of his career as well at the Green Bay Packers. Bryan, thank you for coming on the channel, man. I never thought I'd have a Super Bowl winner on the channel before. And yeah, that's just blown my mind massively. Thank you for coming on the channel. How are you? You all right?
I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited about it. I know I've watched a few of these that you've done, and I appreciate you having me on to just talk about what happened yesterday because I'm excited about it.
Nice. I mean, we did that video with Man City US with Ariel recently, and I just thought, why have I never asked Bryan to come on before? It makes an awful lot of sense. So then I thought after that, I'll slide into the DMs and get it done. And I'm glad you're here because it's good. It's a very diverse guest, and I absolutely love that. Guys, we'll get straight onto the game from last night because obviously that's a big moment for Manchester City. It's huge. It's a game changer for City. Bryan, I want to ask you this basically because obviously you're a professional athlete. You literally know quite a thing or two about preparation for games. I mean, like, have you ever had a situation in your career before where you've had an obstacle or something that's played in your mind that you needed to overcome? Like, for example, you need to get past a certain hurdle for your own mentality, if that makes sense. Because obviously for Manchester City, this was beating a big team in a knockout stage. What does it feel like as an athlete having that playing your shoulders, and how much of a difference will this now make for Manchester City, having cleared that jump, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be, especially in Green Bay for so long, and, we've played a lot of good teams. There's always that one team or one stage of the playoffs or the season that you kind of have to get over. And I felt like for a long time in Green Bay, it was Chicago, and we ended up beating Chicago in the NFC Championship to move on to the Super Bowl. And so those small things that once you clear that hurdle, like you said, the confidence just soars and you feel like you could go on the stage with anybody and beat anybody. And I feel like that's where Man City is right now. I mean, they got past arguably the best team in, the European competitions ever. You could argue that.
13 times winners. So, that's ridiculous.
And they did it, and they did it in a very, very good fashion. So I think in that dressing room right now, those guys are on, they're thinking they can go anywhere and beat anyone.
I mean, it's that big a difference, isn't it, Adam? I mean, like, obviously we know watching City for years and all that kind of stuff, there's always been that kind of little mentality block, I would say. Adam, I mean, it felt to me last night that this could have been potentially, hopefully, I mean, I'm saying that Lyon could turn us over next week knowing that, but it felt to me like this could be a little bit of a moment for Manchester City. Do you get that same impression too? And did you feel different last night for you, Adam, as well?
Yeah, like I said in the intro, I feel like we've arrived on that stage, and I feel like a lot of the journalists who were there last night actually commented saying there was a bit of an atmosphere last night in the ground, albeit an empty stadium. So, it had that kind of edge to it. It was the most nervous I can remember in a long time watching a City game. I think we've had so long in the lead up to it. I tweeted before the game, and a few City fans agreed with me that Pep might overthink this one because he's had so long to think about it. So the hype around the game, for all being a behind closed doors game, was massive. And I feel like we needed a night like that in this competition because I've not been overly enamoured with this competition, I must admit. But last night really got me thinking about, right, we're arrived and maybe we can go on. I know it's mad to think that we got into a semi-final against Madrid, but we didn't have the tools to beat them then. I feel like we've got a better chance now, even though we're 2 steps before that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, was there anyone particularly stood out for you last night, Bryan? Because obviously, I mean, Kyle Walker's drawn an awful lot of praise. And I guess sometimes you do just need someone who's going to be essentially reliable, just like he was just an absolute warrior last night. But, I mean, maybe it was Kyle, but was there anyone else in particular stood out for you last night, Bryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was fantastic. I think he was everywhere. I mean, the guy literally showed up everywhere and was really fun to see him just bomb up and down the field. And he showed up in spots like, oh, there's Walker. He's, winning the ball back. And it was really fun to watch him. But I think, with all the reports and everything that happens with transfer rumors and stuff like that, I think the guy that showed up and he's been showing up maybe in a more subtle ways is Jesus. Yeah, he obviously got the goal last night and he stole the pass, but with all the talk saying that we should move on from him, he's not a true 9. He's not the same guy as Aguero. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be the same as Aguero. He offers so much, he offers so much more in a different capacity than Aguero does. How he took that ball away from Varane in the corner, Aguero doesn't really offer that. So I'm happy to see him have that success on this stage because that just boosts his confidence as a player. And, it makes you think like, if we continue to stick with him in this competition and put him out there again against Lyon, is he going to produce the same results? Do you really want to mess with that lineup right now? So it's just, I'm really happy to see him, have the night he had last night.
Bryan, you touched on something there, which I want to kind of, I've been thinking about. And basically, I've got a fresher athlete on my channel, so I am definitely going to try and get inside the psyche of all that kind of stuff. Because one thing that's been often maybe thrown at Jesus is that potentially he's been living in Aguero's shadow. I mean, who wouldn't live in Aguero's shadow? He's literally an all-time great. Has there ever been a situation where you personally, or at least someone close to your team, where you can sense that maybe the idea of trying to follow someone else is just a little bit too much and it can maybe weigh you down a little bit? Has that ever happened in your career or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of funny because when I came in as a rookie in Green Bay, I was behind two guys, Chad Clifton, who was there for 12 years, and Mark Tauscher, who I replaced at right tackle. He was there for 11 years. So these were two guys that are in the Packer Hall of Fame as well, that I was stepping in their shoes, and you have to produce because if you don't produce, people go, man, this guy was nothing like Tauscher, nothing like Clifton, and you get negatively looked upon. So, yeah, there is a pressure to that. But at the same time, you kind of have to just play your own game and do it the way you do it.
Yeah.
And obviously, looking at Jesus, I mean, he didn't have all the opportunities in the world the last few years. I mean, Aguero, for the most part, was fit. He was scoring a ton of goals. How can you pull him off the field? I mean, that's the thing. Now, Aguero's a little nicked up. Insert Jesus, and he's playing phenomenal. So I think that's, it's his time. And he's showing that, he belongs out there with those guys. And the performances just continue to get better for him, I think.
Yeah, he was absolutely, I thought he was fantastic last night. I mean, Adam, Jesus has had a bit of stick. I mean, some of it may be fair because he's frustrated. Finishing can be frustrating. But do you think there's any potential this could be maybe a little bit of a watershed moment for him? Because, I mean, I saw an awful lot of positivity towards Jesus on Twitter last night. I mean, more than I've seen for a long time, I reckon. And is it a case that maybe we need to accept that he's just different to Aguero? He's never going to be a clinical goal scorer. But, as Bryan touched on before, he offered something very different, kind of goals that we probably wouldn't have scored if Aguero was on the pitch. Do you think it could be a little bit of a changing moment for him? Or is it just, he's been that way anyway, and we just maybe are realising it too late?
Yeah, I think I'm guilty of every time he misses a chance. The first thing I think is Aguero would have buried that. I'm almost guilty of putting that weight on his shoulders as well, as I'm sure a lot of us are.
Yeah.
I think now we've come to realise that he's not Aguero. Like Bryan said, he's not Aguero's replacement. He gives us something different. I'd love to see them both on the pitch, but I don't think Pep quite fancies that without two proper wing backs being available all the time. It certainly is his watershed moment. Is his best performance in a City shirt. I think he plays better when there's a battle to be had rather than a Watford where we're putting 4, 5, 6 past them, like where Aguero will just mop up those chances. He's better. I always say with Jesus, he's our best defender, and that sounds daft.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah.
He pushes. He caused them issues last night. Varane couldn't rest. He's not used to that in the league. Gabby's really roughed him up, and I think that's the job he can do in the team. So he's not our Aguero, but he needs to be our Gabriel Jesus, and needs to make that position his own.
You're absolutely spot on because it's just human nature, isn't it? I mean, as soon as it sure happens in NFL as well. As soon as any athlete or new person emerges on the scene, straight away people are going, "Are they the next so and so, or whatever?" Or how do they live up to those, to those lofty heights that someone else is set? And I think it's rarely that you find someone who's an exact clone of someone else. It just doesn't really happen because people are different, and you get similarities, of course. But I think we have this urge. I think it's just a human nature thing to try and find someone to replace that. But I think you just have to accept said, well, we won't replace David Silva, we won't replace Aguero, we won't replace Fernandinho, but we'll probably just find a way to move on and be different and involve the team. And last night, Gabriel Jesus showed maybe what that team could look like. And also, Bryan, Foden playing out of position there. Foden was asked to do a job last night, which is essentially taking one for the team, I thought, because he's not a striker. He isn't that, but he played there. And I mean, how would you approach that in that? So I'm really going for the whole athlete. What do you think your percentage? I just find it fascinating. So, how is it? I mean, how would you approach that? If you're asked to obviously do something that you're not familiar with. I mean, obviously there might be a little bit of frustration not playing your preferred position or anything like that. But I guess it's a situation where Foden just has to get his head down and get on. How do you think he dealt with it last night as well?
I thought he did well. I mean, again, he's out of position. He's asked to do a specific job. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not his normal comfort zone where he's been around the pitch normally. He was asked to do a specific job, and I thought he did it. In his mind, he might have walked off thinking, man, I didn't have a great game. But if you watch it and you saw what he was doing, I thought he played well. And especially putting him out there on that stage, I mean, that shows a lot of confidence from Pep that he can trust him to do a specific job. I mean, in my line, yeah, we're asked to do stuff that we're not comfortable with, and we may complain about it and give the coach a little bit of come on, you're really asking me to do this, and it's just at the end of the day, you got to do it for the guys, and you have to do it for the betterment. And I think that was kind of what Foden did last night, and hats off to him because he's another guy that people want to talk about bringing in another midfielder, he's the guy. Yeah. He's the guy. We don't need another midfielder when you have him sitting there. He could do a lot of different things. And I mean, I think the ceiling for him is so high. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, obviously last night, is there any greater endorsement from a man who famously overthinks football, Guardiola, allegedly? So basically his brain is sat there whirring away, trying to think of the best possible solution. And his solution was to choose Phil Foden over Riyad Mahrez, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Adam. I mean, is that not the most biggest endorsement a manager of Guardiola's stature gives someone like Phil Foden? Surely that proves he's the here and now, not just the future.
Yeah, you made a good point recently where you were saying previously, maybe before the lockdown, you said he came on just looking to fit into a game. Now he comes on wanting to impact the game. Yeah. And he's now starting those games as well from an impact point of view. He didn't play well. He did not play well yesterday. He wasn't pulled off because he wasn't playing well. Yeah. He was just asked to do a slightly different role, as you've mentioned. He had a great game. For that famous Neil Custis tweet where he said he agrees to sit on the bench for 6 years, and then he starts in a second leg against Real Madrid. That just proves all the doubt wrong that we do bring youth through, give them a chance, and if you're good enough, you'll play. And Pep's nailed his colours to the mast there. I think he is the heir to the David Silva position, and I think there's no question marks around him anymore now. He has arrived. Yeah.
Was there now looking forward to Lyon, obviously? Is it a situation where if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing? Do you expect Adam to Pep to make a few changes here, or do you keep it as it is? I mean, I don't even know what the best approach is really, but how do you expect it will go?
Well, I think he might bring Mahrez back in just to spice it up a bit. With it only being a one-legged affair, we're probably going to need to go. Well, Pep doesn't really know any other way, but there's no master game plan needed in terms of you've got to beat them on the night. Yeah. So I think he'll bring Mahrez back in. We've just found out today that Aguero won't be fit enough for that game, so there's no chance of changing it too much up top. But I think he'll bring. Guardiola commented saying that Lyon were the hardest team he's faced in the Champions League when we played them just less than 2 years ago. So he's going to be aware of what they can bring to the table. They've certainly got a threat. They've proved that to get to this stage of the competition. But I think over one leg, we're just going to go all out. So it's going to be a less cagier number than last night, I assume.
Well, what do you reckon will happen then, Bryan, in terms of and also once again, I mean, how does it feel when you've won something and then all of a sudden you're taking out the team, I guess, to an extent? Will the players be expecting to start the next game given, for continuity purposes, or do you think it's one of the situations where, they'll obviously understand Pep's decision, but how do you feel? Do you think they'll be feeling entitled to, I guess? Maybe that's not the right word, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it, especially what we've seen with Pep, it doesn't necessarily mean your last game guarantees you something the next game. And that's why I feel that he's the best manager, because all these guys are always on their toes and they're always fighting in practice to make sure that they have their spot, on match day. And I think that's what makes the team so hungry when guys even get subbed on, how well they normally play, because they want their opportunity. I think there's going to be changes. I remember watching that Champions League game from Lyon when, like almost, what was it, a year ago when they lost 2-1 at home?
Where was it?
Was it 2019?
Or
2018 it was.
2018, yeah.
Lost 2-1 all the way.
That feels like a lifetime, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think I think he's gonna bring guys on because he wants to put goals on Lyon, because he knows they're probably not the most offensive team, but if you keep them in this game all the way down to the 70th, 80th minute, things can get a little hairy. So I think Pep's going to try to get out early, put a couple away early, and then, try to reinforce it at the back towards the end, because you can't let this team hang around for 75 minutes, because that's when bad stuff happens. I mean, and the way that the competition is set up now, one match only, you got to go for the throat early. You have to.
How do you think they'll be feeling all week, Brian, now? Because is it one of those situations where they'd be like, right, try not to think about the game too much, try and relax a little bit? Because obviously, I mean, everything in their career right now is built around this one game. And that's not even an exaggeration, because this is it for the season. There's nothing left at all. And it's a competition ahead of them. Normally especially in the football calendar, and normally for us, there's always going to be a competition in between, but this is like a whole calendar of games, basically. How do you think the City players will be feeling? Do you think they'll be trying to relax, or they'll be basically entirely focused on this game and nothing else?
I mean, I think probably today, maybe tomorrow, maybe a little bit, recovery, thinking about the last game last night, busting each other's balls about something that went wrong, or, just kind of going back and forth on it. But I think by Monday, this is going to be all business. And it reminds me a lot of, and this is exactly what it is. It reminds me of playoff football. It's one and done. You're in, you get one shot at it, and you move on. And that's exactly what the Champions League is this year. It's one and done. There's no two legs. I mean, you get one crack at this thing. And I think they're going to be dialed in knowing, because I think if you put Manchester City on paper for one match against any team in the world, you really like Manchester City one game. You know what I mean? You really like them. No matter what all the pundits say on TV, I can't stand watching the pregame of Champions League with half the guys on there that just hate City, and they don't. It just.
I love you notice that as well.
Yeah, it just bothers me. I just can't stand it. But if you're looking at the teams left and you're going, we got one game. Who do we want out there? You're looking at Man City going, that's a very good-looking option right there. And I think the guys understand that they have a squad that's capable of going out one night, putting up 4 goals and moving on very, very comfortably. So I think Monday it's going to be all business, and they're going to be focused in and ready to go.
Adam, how are you feeling ahead of the game then? Is this does it feel like a turning point, or are we getting ahead of ourselves? Are we just basically a little bit drunk on Man City love at the moment? I mean, because that's how I felt today. I woke up like the sun's shining, I'm dead happy and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, again, is it just, it is just one game? I mean, can one game really change things that much for Manchester City, Adam?
Well, I think it's not just that result, it's the format of the competition going forward. I think if the aim of the game is just to outscore the other team, I think we're probably best placed to do that.
Yeah.
I think if it was over 2 legs, we'd probably we'd all get panicking about how Pep's going to overthink the 2-legged thing. But I think the format will suit us now. That's why I go back to saying we're almost closer than we were even when the time we reached the semi-final, because over 2 legs, we didn't really look like laying a glove on Madrid under Pellegrini. So I think this format suits us. We just got to if we take our game, like Brian says, on paper, we'll beat anyone. And I'm truly that confident. But I just hope we don't have another Arsenal performance, Southampton performance, where we're looking a bit blunt up top, because that's when it really can affect us. But one game, straight shootout, let's go for it. And I don't think we're riding on last night's success. I think that was a great arrival status, but I think we'll be able to take that into the next rounds now.
Yeah, Brian, before we go, I have to ask you one question because I'm genuinely fascinated. And it's nothing to do with football really. But if one Manchester City player could make it in the NFL, who would it be?
Kyle Walker. I think his pace, his physicality, his aggression, all those things. I mean, I don't know how tall he is. I don't really care. But
it's about 5'11", I think. No, it's not the biggest, tallest, but
I think just his style, his mindset, his the way he plays, and his aggression and his swagger. And I feel like ever since he came from Tottenham, his personality has changed to a little more of a alpha personality, because he's in
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
he's in a squad of guys that are all superstars. So when you go to a squad like that, you have to kind of create your own persona, and he's done that. And he's just been does he have his moments? I think everybody has their moments, whether it's me on a football field and I have a brain fart, or it's one of these guys, when dudes are running at you 21 miles an hour down the field screaming with the ball. I mean, it's not the easiest thing. So I think everyone has their moments, but I think he's probably best suited, because just of his aggression, his speed, his power, and everything that kind of goes with him on the pitch would translate well on the football field.
How would you, this is on a personal level, how would you deal with the social media stuff? Because I don't know if NFL fans are quite as interesting as football fans. Tribal, because I mean, like, I'm sure they are, actually, I know they are, but like football fans over here, if you make a mistake, you're hearing about it on Twitter for days. Like, I mean, how would you live with the social media side of it? Because is it never a bit overwhelming?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, because when I got into the league in 2010, that was my first year. Twitter really wasn't that big. It was just starting to get going. So it wasn't that bad my first year, which as a rookie, I made probably the most mistakes I ever made. You're a rookie, you're getting used to everything.
Team of the year, though, didn't you? I did my research beforehand, so you weren't that bad.
So like, we won the Super Bowl that year, and it was great and everything. But you make a mistake on Sundays, you'll have 50 tweets letting you know about it, and you just kind of gotta take the good with the bad. I mean, there's going to be people that sit at home and probably have never played football in their life. Probably, maybe their kid plays peewee football, and they think they know the X's and O's of it. They think, oh, it's easy. Just get in front of that 270-pound guy that's way more athletic than you and block him. It's really simple. It's like, well, it's not as simple as that. And but you just have to take the good with the bad. I mean, I think that's what makes not just the NFL, but also soccer. You guys call it football, I call it football. I don't want to mix things up, but we'll just say football in general, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the game so exciting, and the fans are so loyal. And they take things personally, and I think that's what makes sport, as when you have fan bases that take things personally. And in Green Bay, I mean, this is my first year in LA, but in Green Bay, if we lost a game, it ruined people's weeks till Sunday, and we played again. And I generally know that, because you would go out in public and people like, oh, what happened last week? And they'd still be grumpy about it. So, it was just like, man, we're not out there trying to lose, that's for sure. But, that's what makes sport, man, is passionate fans, people that love the game, that care about not just the result, but also the guys on the field and how they're personally doing, and how they're, because we don't really like to look at guys' personal lives. Things happen off the pitch that affect on-field play. There's just, we would love that separation of personal and professional, but things happen in life and they mix. And when you see a guy, doing really well on the pitch, or even back here in the States, and they're performing well, I mean, things are going really well personally a lot of the times too. So you enjoy that guy's success on and off the field. And fans generally do that as well, which is why sport is what it is, because you want to see the success not only of your team, your club, but also the guys as well.
Mate, on that note, I'm going to probably end it there. That's fascinating. Generally, I was just lost in that for a second then, but it's always interesting hearing it from the other side. I mean, sadly, Premier League footballers are vastly more aloof than you yourself, which is, and I so appreciate you for that, being that open and honest about it. But it's great hearing the other side of it, the mentality side of it. So thank you so much for coming on, Bryan. I've really, really appreciated it.
My pleasure. I appreciate you having me on. I'll come back anytime.
I will hold you to that. And likewise, Adam, your debut on the show, for both of you really, Adam, likewise, man. And it's good to see, Adam, you bought that kit because of my video, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so link it, click somewhere. I'm sure there's an affiliate link or something coming your way.
Sadly, I mean, I need to go on affiliate links. Actually, that's a good point. And Puma needs to be sending us all some shirts. You could surely you could send a tweet, Brian. You'll be getting some anyway, definitely. But we need to get some shirts. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me in this video. I've absolutely enjoyed it. We're all still loving life after Manchester City's 4-2 aggregate victory over Real Madrid. We're in the quarterfinals. You've knocked out the 13 times European champions. It's good. It's absolutely lovely. Guys, go and check out my 5 Things Learned video, the match reaction, and all these other videos on screen. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and have a wonderful day.